Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Justin Wolfe from WolfeCustoms. That is insane and nonsense. This is the second annual WolfeCustoms gathering, and this is my good friend Travis Henry. Travis Henry is going to show us a class on basic knots. Knots are one of those subjects where you can spend literally almost a year learning all the knots out there and you still won't learn them all. But if you can learn some of the basic knots, they're relatively easy to learn and you can apply them to so many situations it's not even funny.
So one of the common knots that I use a lot is the bowline knot. This is one that I've taught my daughter many times. They've got a lot of sayings on how to do this. The easiest one that I did for my daughter was I told her to take the tag end of it and just kind of let it lay over your hand like this. The long end's going off that direction, the short end coming more towards you. And if you take the piece and turn your hand with your palm, your thumb down like such, and grab the piece, pinch it in your fingers, and then twist it like you're starting your car, like you're turning the key. At this point, then you pinch the cross section of that knot with your thumb, and then grab the tag end right here. You come up out of the garage, around the block, which would be back behind the long tag end, or under it, and then we come right back into the garage, which would be the original hole you came out of. Then you pinch those two together, like such, and grab the long one and pull.
That was pretty simple.
It seems harder than it is, and the greatest thing about this knot that I love is once you put a lot of tension on it, it's easy to get back out, because all you got to do is grab the knot like it almost naturally sits in your hand, and then just break over that knot, and it comes right undone. If any of you guys need to see that up closer, it's easier if I'm actually like standing behind you doing it. That's a very helpful way to see it.
Do you want to come over here and come in front, or do that kind of in front of the camera maybe?
Sure could, yeah.
Okay, come on over here. Let me readjust this for you.
Okay, so I just lay it in my hand. I've got the short end on the bottom, the long end coming out the top. I just turn my thumb down, pinch the line, twist it, go ahead and pinch that together, that holds the loop together. Take the short end, which is closest to you, come up, which I call coming out of the garage. Then you take the end that's laying over your hand, go behind it, you see there, then you go right back through the garage, grab a hold of those two pieces together, and then just grab the long end and pull.
So here's the great thing about having gatherings like this, is the fact that you will have people out here that can teach you as you're teaching a class. Like right now, Travis was demonstrating a particular knot, and we have a young man here that is very heavy with the Boy Scouts and learns a lot of knots. Now the knot that he shows is just a different variation of the bowline knot, and I learned this particular way of doing this a long time ago, but I forgot about it. And is where I learned it from was I was going to do some rappelling, and it fell through, and I never was able to do it. And since I wasn't able to do it, this is a method that I just kind of lost. So I'm going to have this gentleman come up here, and he's going to demonstrate a little bit or how he does this. Kenny, you want to come on up here?
Hi, I'm Kenny Landrum, and I'm going to be teaching you the one-handed bowline. So what you're going to do is you're going to take in your right hand and you get the side with the end on it, and then you're going to have the rest of the rope in your left hand tight around your body. And so you're going to go over the rope in between your arm and the rope, come through the hole that you just made, and then you're going to go under the rope in your left hand, pinch the end, and pull back through, and then you will have your bowline. So you're going to take your tag end, and you're going to go over the rope under your arm and come through.
Do that one more time. There you go. And
Okay.
then just bring it on through.
Alright, so you're going to go over the static line under your arm, and you're going to come through the hole you just made, come around the static line, pinch it,
And you went under it, right?
went under it, and then you're going to pinch here and then pull through, and then you have your bowline.
Well done. Thank you, Kenny.
No problem.
Okay, so we just got done using the bowline, as you can see. So I've used the bowline in this instance just to wrap it around the tree. I'm just going to go ahead and pull all my rope through it. This is what I use it for. And we're going to move on to the trucker's hitch. And the trucker's hitch, there's the right way and the wrong way. At least I learned a long time ago. And a lot of people will take their rope and twist it, and sometimes they'll grab the end that is the stacked end, which is that end right there, and pull on it. And this is the wrong way. Every time you do that, that's going to jam your finger in there. It'll jam your rope and bind it up, and it doesn't work the same that way. If you take the rope and you grab it and twist it and grab the end for which you're at and pull it through, that allows you to have as big of a loop as you would like to have, or as small as you'd like.
And basically you're doing it away from the anchored point, correct?
Exactly. I'm grabbing away from the anchor point. So after I've done that, all this is doing is giving you a leverage point, basically, to pull the rope as tight as you'd like. And you can just wrench on this thing. And after you've done such, you can just put a little half hitch on that. And I usually like to back that up with another half hitch, just to make it static.
Okay, so he's got it wrapped around the tree.
I think I'm wrapped around the nail too.
He's coming around on this side here. Now remember, that is your anchor point, and that is your loose end. You can see he grabbed from the loose end and not the anchor point.
You don't have to pull this rope all the way through if you don't want to, really. A lot of times if you pinch this here, it will actually hold it static for you. But if you quickly pull that shut, it'll pinch on itself. And I usually will just put a quick half hitch in there just to make sure that won't slide out later. A necklace knot is what I usually use. You can just take, for a prusik, you can just take and bend it over and just tie a regular square knot. But I usually do a necklace knot. Don't ask me why. I guess it's just because I like to stay in practice. But basically, if you take that leftover end, pull it over the top, and just tie a regular knot on it. Pull it tight. If you flip it back around to the other side and tie it the exact same way you just did the last side, this is a necklace knot. Sometimes people use it for their necklaces. It'll allow you to slide back and forth to make the necklace longer or shorter. See how the loop will get smaller on you. And when they butt up against each other. It allows it to be a little bit longer knot. But for the prusik, you just have to lay it over and take one end and flip it on the inside. About 3 times. Basically making sure that the one that you pulled on the inside stays on the inside. And we use this knot today to fly up our big tarp, and it allowed us to basically have an anchor point to pull on. Like if you were going to put a tarp on this ridge line, you could put a toggle in here. You can use it to anchor on, and you can put more tension on your tarp as it's pulling away from you. It works both directions, it doesn't matter. And if you use paracord on top of paracord, a lot of times it'll want to slip on you. It doesn't like to bite it very well, mainly just because it's the same diameter.
So basically you can see that when he puts a lot of pressure on that, it's not sliding. But if he goes up there, releases the pressure, and then pushes it from the opposite end gently, it slides with ease.
So what I call the necklace knot, everybody else here is calling the fisherman's knot, is basically one static piece of line. Just making an X. We're just basically tying a regular square knot over top of that rope. And then, in order to get it proper, I always just flip it around. So I've got the end on the same side I started with. Tie that knot again. And this is where it gives you, if you're wanting to use this as a necklace, like with paracord, it allows you to slip it, or you can make it longer. Notice how these ropes almost make an X pattern on it. That lets you know you got it correctly. The knots butt up against each other.
And that just gave you a loop.
It gave me a loop to work with. But the prusik, basically, we're laying it over top of the rope and coming through the inside. About 3 times. You want to dress this up so all the ones that originally were supposed to be on the inside are on the inside. This helps to give it more gripping power. And this will allow you to, it'll bite down onto the rope. You can see how it's kinking it. It's like a snake. And they come out real easy.
Nice. So another variation that you can do is, Travis showed the bowline knot. And the reason why I don't necessarily use this a lot is just because I use a different technique to where it's a little bit quicker for me to break down camp. It may not be, it's definitely not as strong as that knot. But this is something that's, personally, it's never failed me. And basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around and I'm going to pretend like I'm tying my shoe. Just like this. Now I'm going to bring, just like that, and I'm going to stick my fingers through and I'm going to grab that and pull that just like that. And I can cinch that down, okay? Make that ultra tight if I want up against that tree. I can also put a toggle system. Let me just grab a stick right here. Pull that down on itself, and I just screwed everything up. Put that toggle in there, cinch that down, so now this cannot be pulled loose. But if I want to break camp easy, I just pull that toggle out of there, and this simply just becomes a slip knot, and I can just pull that loose really fast. So again, I'm just going to pretend like I'm tying a shoe. Do this. Okay, I'm going to bring that just like so. I'm going to reach through here with my fingers and pull that through just like that. Now I can bring that over and really cinch it down.
Would it be correct if I were to say that basically it's a granny knot, except for the last part of the granny knot, you're putting a loop in there instead of pulling that tag all the way through?
It's a slippery.
I don't know what the proper name for this is.
No, I mean, I just meant in, I wasn't asking for the proper name, I just meant as far as how you tied it.
Sure.
Will you do it again real quick?
Okay. Okay, so just like I'm going to tie a shoe, I'll come over it, underneath. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this underneath here just like this. Bring my fingers through and just pull through. Now I'm not going to bring this all the way, because if I do that I create a knot. I don't want that knot. I want this that quick and easy slip knot that I can just bring up to the tree like that. And I can put, I mean, you can put a ton of force on this. It's not going to fail you. And then I can just pull it loose just like that, very quick and easy. It's nothing more than another variation of doing something like that. Okay, so you ended up the trucker's hitch. Now what are you trying to simulate now?
Well, I'm just trying to simulate if you're tying off, let's say, a tarp, and you want to be able to adjust the tension on it. So this is the top line hitch. We've got a stake down there.
Okay.
Basically, this is a lot of cord here. This wouldn't be normal, but if you just kind of whip the rope uphill about 3 times or so, and you can do it 4 times, 5 times if you want. If we come back around the back side, so we're between the 2 ropes, and pull it through that loop that it forced you to make, and then we can take and put as much tension on this as we want.
Right.
To pull the tarp as tight as we'd want. Kind of restricts onto the knot.
And yet again, if you go gentle and just kind of push it on the back side, it just kind of loosens right up.
Yep, you can loosen it up as much as you want.
I use that one a lot on my stuff. It's a good knot to know.
The next one I like, which I'll have to pull this down for, is one that I actually learned off of YouTube, of all things. I don't know any other name for it other than the Canadian jam knot. I know it has another name for it, but I learned it from I.A. Woodsman. But I love it so much because it's great for packing things that I've rolled up, like blankets. Sometimes I use it on my air mattress. And it's so simple to do. You can even use this for lashing things. But basically we're just tying an overhand knot with the tag end. Just do it again down the end of the line below it. At this point, other than this being a long piece of rope, you take the other end up through the bottom, feed it through this hole. This creates a loop that we can stick around, let's say, a sleeping bag of some sorts. This is not something you want to put around something that you don't want undone. But that knot will butt up against the other one, and once you wrench on it, it won't come loose. This would literally cut the circulation off your arm if you did that. But if you just pull that tag in on it, it loosens it right back up.
That's a good one.
So if you had, 3 poles you wanted to lash together, you could just stick it over the top of them, and it's not going to come undone. It's pinching itself right here.
Oh wow.
But just a little release on the back side of the rope, and no more tension. It's great for bedrolls,
Yeah.
sleeping bags, or
Yeah.
tarps, or anything that's round.
This is how I do it. Is I start with a little bit of a loop up here like this, and I grip that in my hand, and I keep my tag end hanging down just a little bit. And as all I do is I start wrapping this around my hand just like this. So now we can see that we have our rabbit ear and our tag end hanging down just like this. And then just continuously wrap this around. It doesn't have to be pretty, just do it fast. And is what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around my hand, depending on how much paracord you have, of course.
I was gonna grab a
Holy
longer one.
man,
I was gonna
okay.
grab the longer one. This is what messed me up.
Now basically you can see that the rest of my paracord is actually touching the ground, and that's pretty much where I want it. So we've got our rabbit ear, we've got our tag in. I'm going to remove this from my hand now and grip it just like this, okay? Now what I'm going to do is the excess that I've got hanging, I'm just going to start wrapping it and basically hank this up. And like Travis said, you can make this as tight as you want or as loose as you want. Now once I get that wrapped up, I'm going to take my excess piece and I'm going to put it through my rabbit ear. And then I'm going to take my tag in and pull it. Okay? So now this thing is good to go. It's not going to unhang. But the great thing about it is where I pulled the rabbit ear tight, I can remove that excess just like this, pull it right out of there. I can hold this in my hand, and now I can just pull my paracord out just like this. Extremely fast, and it's not going to bunch up, not going to knot up on us. It's just a way to keep your paracord hanked up so that way you can pull it out at a moment's notice and line it. Now something else that I've seen people do is I've seen people do something similar to that, and you could do this with this technique. Is after you do that, a lot of people will put them on their backpack straps. Okay, so then you have it ready, pull it right off, you've got quick access to cordage. Here we are camping, we got diesels coming through here. But anyway, you know, like I said earlier, knots are one of those things you can spend many years on trying to learn.
And never know them all.
And never know them all, exactly. So the knots that Travis just showed you, they are a good basic knot, or excuse me, basic knots to learn, to kind of set up and break down camp really easy, and they can be used in multiple scenarios. You know, I do apologize, it is kind of hard to really get a good point of view on tying knots unless you have a point of view camera. So a lot of these knots, if you want to learn them better, I would suggest doing a little bit of a search, and you can learn these pretty dang easy because there's a lot of really good videos out there specifically on each one of these knots. But Travis, I do greatly appreciate it, man, because a lot of these knots I've learned from you, and it's definitely helped me through the years break down camp, set up camp a lot easier. So I greatly appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you, Travis.
It took like 2 hours.
Well, that's because everybody needed to know how to do them.
And I learned so much from everybody else.
We all learned.
I think I learned more from everybody else than what I gave out.
If that's what you want, that's what I'll leave it
Done
at.
with cordage. Yes.
Dork.